Good morning. Good morning to each of you. I am Dr. Corrine Johnson, and I would like to welcome each of you on this morning to Grace for Today 5-Minute Devotional. This is the space where we gather each morning to jumpstart our day with inspiration, encouragement, and the grace to move forward. And so on today, our subject is going to be sometimes God speaks by saying nothing. And our key scripture is going to be coming from Job chapter 34 and verse 29. And I'm going to be reading it from the Message Bible. And it says, "If God is silent, what's that to you? If he turns his face away, what can you do about it? But whether silent or hidden, he's there ruling." And so when Saul, the first king of Israel, was preparing for battle, he went to God and asked God for his instructions. However, God didn't give Saul an answer. And so Saul got impatient and turned to a witch for advice, something he himself had outlawed. He knew it was wrong, but Saul did it anyway, and he lost everything. He lost the battle, he lost his reputation, and he lost his life. Saul didn't wait to hear from God, and he suffered great consequences, just as many of us do. Sometimes we have a major decision to make in life, and because God is silent and he's not saying anything, we'll go and do as Saul did, and we'll take matters into our own hands, and we'll make an even bigger mess out of it, because if we're doing it in our own wisdom and not in the wisdom of God, then it's going to turn out and it's going to have some major consequences that's going to come behind it. So even when God is silent, he is still in control over everything. He still has a plan. God's silence doesn't lessen his power. When you don't put your confidence in God, you'll grow insecure. Waiting for God, following his lead is always difficult, but more so when you're impatient, because many of us want to be self-sufficient. We think that we're in control of our lives. We think that, whatever we want to do, we can do. And so when you're waiting for God, it can be difficult. But frustration can make many of us act like Saul, because Saul failed to wait for God and he took matters into his own hands. How many of us do that all the time? We waiting on God to tell us, God, is this the time for me to buy that house? But because we don't wait to hear what God got to say, we take matters into our own hands and we get into a pile of debt, and then we're praying and asking God to get us out of it. And God is saying, I didn't put you in it in the first place. You did it. So sometimes God is silent when developing your patience. Waiting for God shows that he is first in your heart. Running ahead of God will only lead to major problems. If God seems like he's silent right now, I want you to remember that he is in control, deserving of our trust and worth the wait. And so on this morning, we certainly thank God for each of you for tuning in and joining with me for Grace for Today 5-minute devotional. And it is my prayer that as you go forth on today, that you will go forth and have a blessed day.